Oh, I'm glad we're doing this when there's construction right next door. It's windy, it's bright,
it's like,
there's construction.
I don't know if we had like a film studio.
Oh well. Well anyways, I'm Sam, this is Gels, and we're gonna talk about spacers today. Gels, what are we going to talk about with spacers today?
All right, so we're getting a lot of questions about spacers, just like spacers in general, like are they safe to run? When should I run them? Like how do I figure out what size spacers I need? And like basically what can I use them for? And you know, what's the difference between like an adapter spacer versus a regular spacer? Why do some have studs in them? Why do some not have studs in them? So we're here to talk about that today and kind of go over the differences of all of them.
All right, so first off, and these are questions from you guys, why would you want to run spacers? Two main reasons. One is function, which is why we have this sick 240 here. One is form, while we have this equally sick RX-8 over here. For the function side, you might have your car lower like Anna does over here with her 240, and you'll be rubbing on suspension components. Spacers blow your mind. They space things out, and they'll space the wheels off of the coilover so it won't rub on there, or maybe you're rubbing on the tension rod or the fender or something. It'll help give you that clearance that you need when she's out there drifting like a boss. Secondly, with spacers, it'll increase your scrub radius, so it helps you a little bit of stability, widen the track width.
So when we're looking at something like the RX-8 here, wide body car, right? Usually when you're talking about like over fenders or wide body, you're talking like 30, 40, upwards like 70 mil over fenders. So like extending that body line by like 70 millimeters, meaning that your regular like 18.9.5s, your 18.10.5s, like they're not gonna fit. Like your cast or even like just monoblock forged, like they're not gonna fit. You need such a low and aggressive offset to fill up that extra distance. So in this case, I'm running the 9.5 plus 22 in the front and a 10.5 plus 22 in the rear. And I needed to add at least a 30 mil in the front and at least a 50 millimeter spacer in the rear, giving me an effective offset of right around like negative, let me do the math quick, 22, 18, 30, 8, negative 8 in the front. Gonna be effective offset around negative 8 in the front and then like negative 28 in the rear. So absolutely huge offsets that you need. And if you go around looking for wheels, you're not gonna find anything like that. They get very specific. Every body kit's different. Every car is different. So spacers really help you get that custom fitment that you're gonna need to really get you what you want. So now when I said like effective offset, now when you're talking about offset of wheels, it's usually gonna be like your plus 35, your plus 22, whatever that might be. That higher that number, the more sunk in that wheel's gonna be. So that's kind of the big thing to note here, because it gets a little bit confusing, like when you're adding, subtracting, and then the higher number is lower, but the lower number is higher kind of thing. It gets really, really weird. But basically, when you're adding a spacer, say you have an 18x9.5 plus 35 wheel, you add a 5 mil spacer like Sam's holding there, your effective offset, so basically what that is going to push that out to is what you would be if you had a plus 30 offset wheel. So that gives you that 5 millimeters more aggressiveness that you would have with that plus 35 offset. So basically, if you're looking for something, or say like I have this wheel, but I need to get it down to this offset, no one makes this offset, basically you just do the simple math of the difference of what you would need and add that to a spacer and you should be good to go.
Absolutely. I'm just gonna slam.
Doing it.
Are these, I'm just too swole. You wanna know, are these dangerous or not? Well, we're here to tell you, no. They're not that dangerous, because you're gonna use them properly thanks to what we're telling you. We sell legit good spacers. Don't go on eBay and buy some Chinesium stuff, because spacers are between your wheel and your life.
Yeah, so what Sam's talking about here is like there are some key differences. You're like, oh, well, all it is a hunk of metal between my wheel and my hub. Well, yes, but no, because there's a lot of things that are involved with that. One of the key things is making sure that they're hub centric. So on your hub of your wheel, you are going to have this little raised part here. This is what your wheel sits on to be able to line up with everything else. It is hub centric or concentric when you're talking in like engineering terms and all that boring stuff. But basically, you need that. You want that to sit real nice. So if you have a spacer that isn't like hub centric or anything like that, it could sit off, it could like kind of kink the wheel a little bit.
You basically need to have it like on there perfect otherwise. Yeah. If it's hub centric, it'll slide over your hub and it'll fit there just perfect. It's not gonna have a bunch of slop to it. You don't want play in it at all.
The other difference is too, when we're talking about like thicknesses of spacers, so when you start out with something like a 5 mil, like here, it's just gonna be like a metal plate. It's gonna be drilled out, it's gonna be hub centric, and it's gonna be, you just slide it over your existing studs. Would probably recommend maybe getting some extended studs.
Yeah, extended studs, because you want thread engagement with your lug nuts. Yeah. Crazy concept, but those of you, and I know you're out there, with 4 or maybe 3 threads on your lug nuts and your studs, that ain't cool.
No,
I've seen them fail. It's hilarious to watch it happen, but it's dangerous.
Yes.
So you don't want that. So if you're throwing anything more than a 5 on there, go with extended studs. You can watch another YouTube video how to put them on, super easy.
Yeah. Most of the time too, when you're getting really, really aggressive up to your like 40 or like even like 20, 30, 40 mil spacers, you're gonna see something like this where you have studs on there already. So what's gonna happen is you're gonna slide this over your existing studs, bolt them on, and then you're gonna have other studs on here that you're gonna bolt to your wheels or bolt your wheels to. So make sure you're gonna have enough threads to bolt your wheels onto. You're not gonna have any of those issues and you're gonna get home safe and sound. And I would recommend too, just like you do with like a new set of wheels, go back and retorque them after a couple hundred miles. Do the same with these.
We have a special guest in this video. It's Mandy. She's our best HR person ever. All right, back to business. If you're going to run a spacer with this design where it doesn't have the studs pressed into it, this is a 5mm spacer. General rule of thumb, if you go 5mm with the spacer, you're gonna want 5mm longer studs. So press the old studs out, don't just hammer them out, be nice to your hub, be nice to your wheel bearings, and press the new ones in. The reason why you want the extended studs is to keep that same thread engagement. You're probably using aftermarket lug nuts too. If you're doing that, the open-ended lug nuts, like Muteki makes a ton of them, super easy, and you don't have to worry about capping out your depth then.
Right, and I know it's like super easy to just be like, it's just a millimeter or two. It's not gonna make that much difference. I'll just run the stock ones. Don't do that. That's when spacers become not safe. And then that's where you see a lot of like the stories on the internet, the videos online of just like, oh, he was running spacers with an idiot, he shouldn't do that. Spacers are perfectly fine. Just make sure you do it correctly. And if you ever need to figure out how big of a spacer you need to get the fitment that you want, say like, hey, I saw this car, like it has this offset, but like the only thing I can like find are these wheels. What would I need? We have calculators for that. You can go on Artists of Wheels, you can check out the gallery, you can use the calculators, punch in, here's the current setup, here's what I have, or here's what I want, and that will tell you the difference in millimeters or inches, whatever you want to go off of, that you would need to get a spacer for, and then we can get them for you. So go check it out, artistsofwheels.com. You can check it out in the store page, check out all the spacers, check out the calculator if you need help, or just drop us a comment or shoot us a message. We'll make sure to help you out as well.
All right, I'm Sam.
I'm Gels.
Thanks for joining us. And if you want us to talk about something or cover something, drop a comment below. Hit us up on Instagram, on Facebook, on TikTok. We answer all of those. See ya.